Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today on Reaching New Heights podcast with me, Meghan Gallagher. Today, I am here with the amazing Nicole Balsamo. She is one of the top wedding photographers in the world, and she is also such a talented singer and songwriter and everything. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
Yes, and I just think you're so talented.
Thank you.
So I'm just so fascinated by you and your journey. Tell me just about growing up and what inspired you to get into photography, and just what was like the big inspiration for you growing up?
I think for me, so I grew up in Michigan. I've only been in LA for a little over 3 years. Photography was always a hobby of mine, and I went to Michigan State University.
Yes.
And I graduated, and I just did not want to apply for jobs. It just wasn't in my blood to do a 9-to-5. And I started nannying for my cousin, and I was a full-time nanny for 4 years. And in that time, she knew that photography was my hobby. And she was like, why don't you, because I was like, I can't nanny forever. Like, what is my long-term job? Like, what am I going to do? And she knew photography was my hobby, and they had a really nice camera laying around the house. And she was like, well, why don't you just take pictures of the kids and you know, see where that takes you. And I just was obsessed with it, but I didn't think photography could be a career. And I was like, well, I have to start paying my student loan debt. I have to start paying bills. Like, how am I going to make money? And that was like a real life problem. And so she was like, well, you could do wedding photography. You love weddings. And I remember being a little girl and being a flower girl in a wedding. And I was just obsessed with weddings after that. And even in college, like, I was that creepy girl at parties with my point and shoot, like taking pictures of couples. Like, I always was like, I love couples. And so, I think after she said that, I was like, okay, well, let's see if I can do this. And then I have a brother who's 18 months older. So at that time, I think I was 22, and all his friends were getting married. And so because I've always been kind of in the creative field growing up in my hometown, I was able to like build a portfolio pretty quick, and I started shooting all my brother's friends' weddings and their engagement pictures. And then, it kind of just took off from there. And then my end goal was to eventually move to LA and do my photography here. So I built my business for almost 5 years in Michigan, and then I moved it here, and it's just been great ever since. That's the short version.
No, that's so inspiring and incredible. Because for me, when I was, the transition from when I graduated high school and I moved to LA, I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, just like Hollywood, blah, 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 blah. Did you have just a moment of when you moved from Michigan to LA of like, oh my gosh, like this is a huge step, I'm really doing it, or kind of like pinch me moment?
Oh, I still have those pinch me moments 3.5 years later. I think even for me, like you said, like I sing as well. And so my whole life, starting from age 12, like I wanted to move to LA for music. And it was just kind of funny. Like I was pursuing music probably until I started my photography business. And then I figured I was actually making money doing photography, and music, I was just losing money. And so I invested more into that. And so I ended up in LA regardless. But when I got here, it was like such a surreal moment of I've literally dreamt of living here since I was a kid. And I'm finally here, and sometimes I have to like remember that moment because you get so stuck in like, okay, I live here now, I'm used to it. And and I have to remember like, oh my gosh, like I once dreamt of living here, and now I'm here literally living my dreams. And so, I definitely have those moments all the time.
That's so true, because I feel, of course, when you live anywhere, you just kind of get,
used to it.
You get caught in the cycle, and it's not a negative thing at all, but it's just, it becomes your new normal. And I feel like it's just so important to continuously remember, oh my gosh, wait, pause for a second. Like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. I'm following my dreams. I'm taking chances. I'm putting myself out there, which, I'm doing what some people, it's their biggest fear, and I'm doing it, and I'm showing up for myself.
Yeah, it's honestly like I feel like every time I drive to Malibu or through like the mountains and like see the water, that's when I have those moments of, oh my gosh, like I live here, like I get to live here.
That's so incredible.
So definitely need to have those moments here and again. You know?
I love that. So when you first moved to LA versus now, what was the biggest moment of like transformation? Like, was it just for you kind of a gradual build over time of doing new photo shoots and booking new clients? Or was there one moment, one photo shoot, one client that just like put you up on another level?
I think definitely like starting my business in Michigan, it took a year or two to build clientele to start getting word of mouth.
Yeah.
So I think my first year in LA was really spent building my network and building my clientele to get that word of mouth.
Yes.
So I think after the first year, I really started getting more jobs because my work was like getting out there more.
Yeah.
And I honestly was like shooting every single day. I was doing anything and everything for free just to get my name out there. I was basically rebuilding my business in a
true
new
hustler.
You have to, and I still like have to have that mentality. But I think for clients, I got lucky with one specific client when I moved here. I work with a lot of girls on The Bachelorette or The Bachelor. And one of the girls from Michigan I had shot with, and then she connected me with another girl who lived in New York, and I shot her right before I moved here. And then there was a specific girl, Becca Tilley, who I really wanted to shoot when I moved here. And on her Instagram bio, she had like her publicist's email.
Yes.
And so I took that email address and I sent a vision board to her and said, hey, I'm moving to LA. This is my work. I have this shoot I would love to do. It was like a holiday shoot.
Yes.
And I was like, I'd love to use Becca for the shoot. If she's interested, like I'm obviously going to do it for free. And she emailed me back right away. We did the shoot. And after that, it was like just word of mouth. So that shoot really helped me in my first like basically month of living here.
Yes.
That world is so like you work with one person and
the tumbleweed effect.
Yeah, exactly. So that shoot definitely was a good start for me in LA. So
that's incredible. And
thank you.
I mean, good for you for just being your own advocate and, you know, being the face of your company and also just putting yourself out there and wearing so many hats. And I feel like that's one thing people don't realize about entrepreneurs is when you're first starting out, you're literally wearing 8 different hats.
You have to. And I still to this day, I always say, never wait for the work to come to you, no matter how successful you are. Go out and ask for the job that you want.
Wow.
Because had I not asked for that, especially in photography, there's so many photographers in LA. It's not that I'm not good it's just that they don't know I exist until I make myself known.
Yes.
So step out of the box, send them an email, send them a mood board, and then now they know I exist and they like my work.
Wow.
And so I always say, don't wait for work to come to you, go out and get it. And you kind of just have to have that mentality as an entrepreneur all the time.
Yes. Oh, that's so inspiring. And it's just so true. It's when we are literally reaching new heights, it comes with so many, you know, just emotions and things and changes and adjustments. And I mean, from, you know, 4 years ago, like I was doing the thing for free too. I was speaking at YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs, literally anything. I would speak at like PTA meetings for moms at high schools, and there would be 5 moms, but I showed up, you know, in the same enthusiastic way every single time, and I never I still would just show up as my best self, and I took so much pride in like giving out my business cards and being on time. But it just those experiences, like, do you feel like they truly do train you for when like the big, huge, amazing things happen?
100%, because you have to have that knowing how to work hard, because the small jobs are just as important as the big jobs.
Yes.
And I think I just believe this in general. Like when you're passionate about what you do, you always go the extra mile. So whether that's a small job, you're speaking in front of 5 moms, or you're speaking in front of 5,000 people, you should treat them the same. Because that's you want to do everything in excellence, and no matter the job, how big or small it is.
That's incredible. I love that. So tell me more about just your childhood and how you developed just a love for taking pictures and music and songwriting, and just kind of, did you enjoy the feeling of being able to express yourself and tap into your emotions, or did you love the feeling of just performing and being on stage, or was it a mixture of both?
I think it was a mixture. I think for me, I didn't really grow up in a household where we were like super vulnerable or open with our emotions.
Yeah.
And so music definitely became an outlet for me to express my feelings and in a way to put words to how I'm feeling, because I've never really been good at that. So writing lyrics was a way for me to like write out how I'm feeling without having to say it, and then I would sing it.
Yeah.
And so I would say for sure, for me, even to this day, like music is such a good outlet for me to be vulnerable and share how I feel. And then photos, it's the same thing.
Yes. I mean, I remember I've always been a big journaler. I have, bins and bins and bins. And in my childhood room, my parents still live in the same house I grew up in. I will go home sometimes and just reflect on, from when I was like, my mom had me journaling. She introduced it to me when I was 5 years old. And she would just write down questions and I would answer them. And I was experiencing anxiety. But I never knew what it was. So there are literally journals from 2006, 2007, when I'm in like 5th or 4th grade, and she would write down before school because I would say, Mom, my stomach hurts, Colin's sick, I can't go to school. And so she would say, okay, Meghan, you say that your stomach hurts, but you said that yesterday. And the day before you said your arm was hurting. So what's going on? And I would just write down literally IDK. I'm like 10 years old, IDK. But that always just, I noticed at a really early age that it just made me feel better. Like I took the time to just check in with myself. Yeah. And is that what songwriting feels like for you, of just if there's something going on in your life that you maybe have a hard time expressing to someone, or you yourself are feeling like, what does this mean to me? And is that just like helpful?
Yeah, I think journaling and writing music for me has always been a way for me to express how I feel. And it definitely makes me feel better after, because when I can't put words to how I feel, but I'm like strumming my guitar and I'm putting words to it, it's like I'm getting it out in a creative way. And so it's definitely a healthy way for me to like express my feelings, for sure.
Yeah, that's so...
And journaling is just so healthy in general because it's so nice to reflect back on.
Yeah, that's so incredible. I just have so much respect for just singers and songwriters and anyone who just gets up on stage and literally pours their heart out. And it's just because it's just so vulnerable, and you're doing it, and I think it's just so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I haven't performed in a very long time, but I used to do it like a lot. Like from age 10 until probably 21, I was performing. And so now I think I'd be a little nervous, but yeah, I used to do it all the time.
No way. Did you ever go on like a tour?
Oh no, not like that. I mean, I did like singing competitions. I was in show choirs my whole life. Talent shows. I was performing with these rappers for a long time when I was in high school.
That's so cool.
It was fun. I've tried out for The Voice, I've tried out for American Idol, like all those types of things. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen. That's just so cool. So when you are, living in LA and you're following your dreams, do you personally have a self-care routine or something that if you ever do feel overwhelmed when you're just, have a busy schedule and you're just, you're making it happen, you're an entrepreneur, you run your own business, do you have something that if you ever feel anxious, it works and it's just, you're like your go-to, like, Nicole, like, girl, you're good, calm down, like...
Yeah. I think that definitely happens often. I think being an entrepreneur, because we always wear so many hats like you talked about, there's definitely moments throughout every day where I'm like, oh my gosh, like...
It's like you can't turn it off sometimes.
Yeah, it's like you check something off your to-do list, but it really doesn't make a difference because then you just have to add something else. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Yeah. Like the list never ends.
Yes.
And honestly, as an entrepreneur, there's always something you can be doing. Like... I always said I never wanted a 9-to-5, but sometimes I'm like, oh, my sister works a 9-to-5. Like when she gets home from work, like she's done, Yeah. But it is definitely such a blessing. And I think for me personally, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just kind of journaling helps me.
Yes.
I just need like quiet time. Like I'll be in prayer. Yeah. I'll read my Bible. I think that really helps me reconnect and get back to my like reason why I'm doing everything. And
I love it.
And help me remember that I am living my dreams. And the 10-year-old me would be like, oh my gosh, like you're living in LA, like you better get it together. Like you don't get to be overwhelmed, you've dreamt about this your whole life. So
yes.
I think it's just taking a step back and remembering why I'm here and being grateful that I get to live my dreams.
I love that. It's so powerful. And I have that too, where I am just really learning, following my dreams. It feels right to me. And I feel we all are put on earth for different reasons and we all have a purpose. And it's, you know, I love it and I'm so passionate about it, but it is so important for me to just have moments of, you know, Meghan, you talk about mental health, you walk your walk, you've been through it, but you also just need, you know, a balance of you have to fill up your cup and you have to recharge your battery. And I sometimes will go back to what I was raised by and the little things, you know, now at 24 versus when I was 16, if I ever feel anxious now and I don't know why and I'm driving around or something, I'm like, wait, my energy just shifted. I kind of feel like I'm in a funk. What's going on? I will literally just think back, okay, you know, what did I learn when I was younger, when I had a therapist, when I was in the middle of it, what helped me then? Because I feel throughout our lives, anxiety and depression and panic attacks and body image issues, whatever forms our struggles can come through as and manifest themselves, it's just, there's such great lessons to remember, you know, no matter how old you are, we all can feel anxious or not good enough or triggered. 100%. And do you ever have something that you go back to? Like when you are just, do you ever find yourself to be in like a funk, or do you ever find yourself like, oh my gosh, am I, you know, good enough? Am I that? Because I think for me, I like to be really, really real with just the viewers of, you know, I love what I do and I am so proud of myself, but I am still just a person and I have many days where I do not feel, I feel like that old inner child Meghan that's like, will I be pretty enough? And
I think that's so real, and definitely like catch myself in a funk all the time. And I think especially in LA, comparison is so easy to get caught in.
Yes.
I know in photography, there are so many photographers. Most of my friends are photographers. So it's so easy to be like, oh my gosh, they're working with this person. Why didn't I get to do that? Or their presets they launched are X, Y, and Z, and mine, you know, I should have done better marketing, or I should have. Yes. It's so easy to get into that mindset. And I think for me, especially when I was growing up, I had this like desire to do everything in perfection. And I think it gave me anxiety as a kid because I felt like I wasn't supported as much in what I did compared to my siblings. So when I did perform, it had to be perfect.
Yes.
And if it wasn't, I would have like a mental breakdown of like, oh my gosh, they're really not going to support what I do because I didn't do a good job.
Yes.
And I think for me, trying to stay out of like the spirit of comparison, because that really gets me in a funk.
Yes.
So to limit my time, because you know, I say limit my time on social media, but my job is basically being on social media.
Yes.
So it's so hard, and I try to be on it for work and not as much scrolling, because I do follow so many photographers. So it's hard,
it's
you know.
so hard.
But yeah.
Scrolling is real.
I think just getting out of my own head.
Yeah.
And again, just remembering that and telling myself like, you're doing a good job. And again, like there's someone out there who's comparing themselves to you, you know? And so just saying that to myself as often as I can whenever I catch myself in a funk.
Yes. That, what you just said really, like, that is so powerful.
You have to, it's hard, like, but sometimes you have to be like, oh, dang, like, I know, like, I have people in my hometown that are like, I can't believe you live in LA. It's my dream. How did you get to do that?
Right.
And it really humbles me.
That's such a good point, too. And just remembering that, you know, social media, it's so powerful, but it's like, I mean, it's just not a coincidence that every single, for me, middle school and high school I speak at, almost every single teenager always asks me, you know, how do you, you know, because we see you have a lot of followers, Meghan. We see that. And I just like to be very real with them of, okay, well, this is how I balance, you know, using social media as a great and a smart way to build my business and my career, but also to just have reality checks with myself and remember, you know, for me, I personally can get triggered really easily, and to know my triggers and to know, you know, just the scrolling, because I end up sometimes in like a black hole where I'm like,
oh, everyone
wait,
does.
What year is it? Whoa.
Yeah. You're like, I'm back in 2015 on this photographer's Instagram. My gosh.
I know where you're kind of like, girl.
Set it down. Yeah.
Put the
For sure. It's hard because social media can be such a blessing, but it can also be such a curse if you're not using it the right way.
So true. And it's like when you realize you're stalking your ex-boyfriend's aunt's second cousin, it's like, girl, come back to the present moment. You just you went a little too far.
Get out of there. Yeah. That's so funny.
That's just so cool. So did you ever have a moment when, of course, we're always still following our dreams, so of course it never stops, but have you ever had a moment where you were working with someone or something happened and you just felt like, I made it? Or something of, oh my gosh, that priceless, proud feeling of, oh my gosh, like I did it.
I think in two different like areas of my work, I shot a wedding in Italy this last summer, and
wow.
Dream couple, dream wedding. And when I was there, I was like talking to my bride and groom, and I was like, well, I can quit wedding photography now. Like I've shot my dream wedding. And definitely that. And then I had I shot, I don't know, do you know who Savannah Chrisley is?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Chrisley knows best.
Yeah. I never actually watched the show. I know of it, but I never watched it. But I did her engagement photos last March, and
that's huge.
And they got in People magazine. So that was like my first like People feature, which as a photographer, that's like a dream. So I would say those.
Nicole, that's insane.
Thank you.
I mean, that's like vision board goosebumps.
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's so incredible. And I just think I love talking, especially just, it's so nice talking to people like you where it's just so honest and just so real. And I mean, we both come from towns outside of LA, and we both, it's just refreshing. And it reminds me that you can always reach new heights, and we can always just have that good balance of loving ourselves and gratitude, but also achieving more and knowing we deserve more and wanting more, but also because it's nice to have that balance of, you know, like seeing your family, or whether it's going home or just grounding yourself, but then also being like, oh my gosh, frick yeah, I'm, you know, in People magazine, I'm on these billboards, I'm doing these incredible things, and then I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a fun ride.
Oh.
And I feel like especially in LA, as like with reaching new heights, I think especially as an entrepreneur, like that's why I say you only go the extra mile for things you're passionate about. And so if I'm wanting to continue to reach new heights, I have to continue that hustle as if I just, like my cousin always said to me, you have to work as if you're starting your business every day.
Yes.
Like hustle every single day and continue working as if you're just starting out.
Yes.
Because you never hustle as hard as when you're first starting your business. You're getting all the work. I mean, maybe not for free as much anymore, but the grind and the hustle as if you're just starting out. And so I think that's super important as an entrepreneur, especially in LA.
I love that. And to not lose that spark of the excitement of when it first started.
Yeah.
That goes for everything, I think. Relationships, business, everything. And just to keep that like fire under you of why did I start? How would day one Meghan feel if she was right here?
And it's kind of humbling also.
Yes, it totally is. I think it's you have to keep on reminding yourself if you feel tired or if you feel compare-y or compare-y, I'm making that a real word.
I love it.
Comparing yourself, you feel all of a sudden just, oh my gosh, well, I don't know if that's insecure. It's like, girl, you started for a reason.
Yeah.
And every single person feels the same way, regardless of if they have, 3 million followers, or we're all still human beings.
Yeah, no one is alone in that. Everyone is trying to grind. Everyone compares himself at one point or the other. Like everyone is kind of in it together. So I also have to remind myself, like, give yourself some grace because, it's not easy running a business and wearing all these hats. And so it's okay to feel stressed out here and there.
Yes.
But just to, again, like come back and remind yourself of those, remember when you started, this was your dream and now you're doing it. Mm-hmm. So to try not to let certain things stress you out too much.
That's so important. That's just so powerful. Do you personally have someone, like a dream client or someone that you would just like burst into confetti if they reached out to you and said, Nicole, I want to work with you. I want you to take my pictures?
I don't know if I used to have dream clients like working with celebrities, but I've honestly come to find out that they're not always like the dream clients once you start working with them.
Yes.
And so I never really ever want to say like, oh, it would be my dream to work with this person, because sometimes the person next door is just as amazing to work with.
That's so true. I think it's important to be open-minded to just how your journey is going to unfold because like you said, I know when I first started, I had such just very narrow goals of I want this and I want that. And then yes, a lot of my goals have happened and they've been amazing, but it's like so many other things that I was not expecting have unfolded.
Well, and I think it's good to not have expectations of like, oh, it's my dream to shoot like Justin Bieber and Hailey's wedding.
Yes.
Which would be amazing if that happened.
Yes.
But I think that that shouldn't really be the expectation because then you'll just be let down if it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's such a good reminder of like stay positive, be open-minded, but also just really, I mean, be open to whatever God or whatever you choose to believe in, just the amazing things that they do have in store for us.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. So when you take pictures for clients, is there a way that you go about it? Like when you, like, do you have a process, or have you, when you first started to now, do you have something that you have fine-tuned and it's just simple? If there's any photographers watching and they just want to learn, is there a tip you have or something that has helped you in your journey of just, you know, being the best photographer you can be?
Yeah, I think like administrative wise, like having a program where you are sending invoices and having contracts is super important. I know, especially in LA, it's like a very flaky town. So people will say they're going to work with you and then cancel last minute, and then you're out and you've been saving that date. And so I think having a system where you're keeping track of your clients and your invoices and your contracts is super important. I think when it comes to actual shooting, I think, again, just going above and beyond.
Yeah.
I always keep, like, extra stuff, like props, I guess, in my car, like hats or denim jackets or things that I think would enhance the shoot.
Yes.
And so I've been on plenty of engagement sessions where I see her outfit and I'm like, oh, like, if you throw this denim jacket over for one look, it would be so cute.
Yes.
And then they leave and you give them that wow factor where when they go to refer you, they're like, oh, my gosh, our photographer even brought extra stuff. That was amazing. We were not expecting that. So when you exceed someone's expectation, they're more likely to refer you to someone else. And so I always try to go above and beyond, whether it's staying an extra hour when I'm only contracted for 8 and just doing it out of the goodness of my heart. You know, that's what's going to get you the referrals. And that's so important in my industry.
That's so true, because it's really... it's just based on your energy and if people want to work with you and if you have a good reputation, it's literally everything.
Yeah, and definitely your attitude and energy on a wedding day is you can't show up to someone's wedding with a bad attitude, you know, because that will not be good.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, definitely. And even having like associates, like people that I hire to second shoot with me, I have to make sure that their attitude is good as well, because you can't have someone under your name working for you that is not going to give you the reputation that you want, because that day their name is your name.
Yes.
So that's also important.
That's powerful. So what you said, Nicole, is just, it rings so true to me, because it's all about being professional and on time and really taking pride in your work and what you do, and knowing that your brand is under your name and just having that respect. In your journey, have you ever been mentored by someone or just worked under someone and learned really great lessons or took away advice from them?
Yeah, I think in any profession, it's really good to have mentors, to have people you look up to that you can strive to be like and to learn from.
Yeah.
I had a photographer actually in LA. Her name was Jana Williams, and she's a wedding photographer, amazing. And in 2015, I flew out here, took a one-on-one workshop with her, and it changed like the game for me. And the workshop, like, it was half kind of branding and marketing, and the other half was photography. And what really shook me was the marketing and branding, because I was doing it all wrong. And my business skyrocketed after that. And I really took what she said to heart and started implementing it into my business. But I think in any profession or in any area of your life where you want to like get better at, I think it's so good to have someone to look up to, a mentor that can help you in that area.
Yes.
So yes, I definitely I still have mentors today. So I think that's super important.
Yes. That's just so helpful, because it's almost as if you're just kind of getting an unbiased opinion. You know, it's not like you're working with a family member who just loves you and it's like they can't tell you. It's just they can give you this perspective of maybe a blind spot, or just they show you about a different technique or something that worked for them. It's just I think it's just so important when you're first starting out to just open your mind up to all of the possibilities of all areas, like you said, of just branding and marketing and ads and social media and just like whatever you want to do professionally is just being open to all of the possibilities of maybe I talk to this person and then it leads to that person. That's how I get my first gig. Or
yeah, and you just want someone who's been there, done that, and what you're trying to do that can help you along the way. And it inspired me so much because it was so beneficial to my business that I now teach one-on-one workshops. And I am just passionate about helping other photographers or small business owners learn what took me years to learn.
Yes.
And I just think that's so important. Investing in yourself and investing in your business is never a waste of time or money.
Yes.
And I think that's super important.
I love that. It's just, I mean, being an entrepreneur, I love just speaking to teenagers and reminding them that truly anything is possible and you can follow your dreams, and it's amazing. But to also just, I wish that there were classes taught in school, in high school and middle school that were in college too, about how to follow your dreams and how to, not how to be an entrepreneur because there's no like right way to do it, but how to just like how to literally make your dreams happen, because a lot of people, they may love something, but then they can think, well, how do I make a living doing it?
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because in junior high, I've had this dream like my whole life of going around and speaking to schools, whether it's like junior high or high school.
Yeah.
And I always said I would call it like the dream big, like whether
I
wouldn't really call it like a foundation, but like where I would go and talk to students about following your dreams.
Yes.
Whether you had, like, I know because for me, I felt like I wasn't really supported.
Yes.
And so it was harder for me to do it, but I did it and I succeeded. And so kind of like talking to students, like if you want to be a singer or a firefighter or whatever it is, like don't let anyone else tell you that you can't do it.
Yes.
And so just like dream big and like don't let anything stop you, because I think it is so important, and people or kids are so easily discouraged. And I think now with social media, with comparison, like I feel like dreams are crushed even, earlier now. And so I think that is just something I've always been passionate about, is kids just following their dreams and not doing it because their mom or dad don't approve or their friends aren't doing, whatever it may be.
Yes. That's so powerful. I want to ask you a question. So imagine this is just like a call-in radio station, and we get a call in from a teenager who's watching, and they just are like, Nicole, I want to be a professional photographer. I want to be a singer, a songwriter. I just, feel unsupported in my family. Or I don't know, I'm 15, I'm feeling this way. How can I stay positive? How can I stay motivated? How can I, see the light at the end of the tunnel? Just what would your best advice be?
Yeah, I would say, and this is kind of what I did, is just believe. You don't need anyone else to believe in you if you believe in yourself.
Yes.
If you truly believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And so just reminding yourself daily, like, I can do this. I am good at this. And having that, whether you write it on your mirror or you write it in a journal, whatever it may be. But if no one else is telling you that you can do it, you have to tell you that you can do it. And you'll start to get in the mindset of believing it, because that I feel like that's what I had to do, and that's what got me this far. And so I think if you're a teenager and you're struggling with not knowing if you should pursue something or if you're good enough at it, if you feel the passion in your heart to do it, then you should do it.
Yes.
And just believe in yourself.
Well said.
Thank you.
It's powerful. And I have another question. Okay. So if you, and I always love thinking about this, just what would younger Meghan think of her now? If you could have a moment and sit with teenage Nicole and you could just tell her anything, words of inspiration, motivation, or just, girl, you have no idea what's in store, what would you say?
I would say it doesn't have to be perfect. Because I feel like I struggled a lot with having to do everything in perfection. And I feel like that did hinder me a little bit. Not that I got where I am today, so everything happened for a reason. But I think that I could have done more. And I think I cared a lot what others thought, it being my family or friends.
Yes.
And so I would say it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't need the approval of anyone.
Yeah, I agree so much. I personally struggled so much with just wanting my body especially to look perfect at all times. And then but then I would think, well, Meghan, but what does this mean if it's not perfect? Are you going to, I always say this, but are you going to blow up into like dust? You know, nothing is going to happen, but you think like the world's going to stop.
Yeah, it seems way more dramatic in our own minds.
Yes.
Especially when you're teenagers.
Yes. That's so true. So I want to jump into rapid fire questions.
Oh, gosh.
And this is my favorite part of the interview. And I love just quick, whatever is on the top of your mind. So first question. If you have ever in your life been at a place where you felt you couldn't go on, you felt like you were just kind of stuck or trapped in a negative cycle, a rut, maybe something at the beginning of your career, or you just felt like, I don't know if I see the light. I don't know how I can get up there. How did you get up there? Like, how did you kind of overcome it? Or just was it someone posted something, you saw a billboard with a quote, or a family member said something, or...
I think it just ties back to like remembering how hard it, like when I moved to LA, it's like, oh, I'm struggling a little bit. Like I went from being really successful, making X amount of money, and now I'm starting over.
Yes.
Like, oh, am I going to hit that again?
Yes.
And I think it's just remembering I was there once before and I got through it, so I can get through it again.
Yes, that's so powerful. And my other question is, if you have ever personally struggled with anxiety or panic attacks or depression or body image issues, how did you personally overcome it or learn to live with it in a healthy way? Was it affirmations or YouTube guided meditations? Like, what personally helped you?
I don't remember struggling much with anxiety as a kid. I think after college, I struggled with a little bit of anxiety. And I never really knew that it was anxiety or how to handle it. I think it was, again, just like wanting to be perfect. And if it wasn't perfect, I would feel like anxious. I think now, though, I don't struggle with it as much, but I feel like for me, or if I were to give advice, like I know for me it would be in prayer and spending alone time with God. Like that's for me how I would, if I'm overwhelmed, that always helps me personally. I know it's different for everyone, but for me personally, it would just be reading my Bible and spending time with God.
That's beautiful. And next question. If it's so serious. If you could be any type of potato chip, what would you be?
Oh my
God. Do you have
probably cheddar and sour cream.
Ooh.
Baked.
Like a baked Lay's?
Yeah.
Or ooh.
No, are they baked? Yeah, baked Lay's.
Oh my gosh. So amazing. I haven't had potato chips in so long. And then my last question is, what is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you when you were a teenager?
The first thing that came to my mind was in college. So can I share that one?
Yes, I love the honesty.
I was walking out of my dorm and I was going to get my mail. There were like two big buildings and it's still embarrassing. And I walked out to get my mail and there's a ton of steps and the bus came up that like picks up all the students.
Yes.
So it was called the CATA bus. So when it pulls up, like probably 50 to 100 students come out of it. Yeah. Right when the bus pulled up and opened the doors, I fell down every flight of stairs outside this building. All my mail. I mean, it was, I can't even explain it. It was the most embarrassing. I mean, and I'm 18 years old.
Girl.
Yeah, it was more, and everyone's standing around like, oh my gosh, is she okay? It was a whole moment. It was very embarrassing.
That's horrible, but it's funny, but just
it's funny
so,
now.
Yes.
100. I mean, there were people that I actually ran into later that lived in that dorm that were like, oh my gosh, you were that girl that fell down the steps that one day.
Yeah.
Yep, that was me.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So thank you so much, Nicole.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being so honest and so open, and just your story is so inspiring. And I think it's just so refreshing for all of the teenagers and viewers to really know that, you know, you can do it. And it's just, you just make it happen. And like you said, it's just taking pride in yourself and showing up and just not forgetting how you felt day one versus, you know, you're 4 years into it. Yeah. Keep that same drive and don't, you know, dip up and down or become kind of stagnant.
Yeah. And believe in yourself.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. This is the Reaching New Heights podcast with me, Meghan Gallagher. You can find me on Instagram at Meghan W. Gallagher. And where can the viewers find you?
So I am on Instagram at Nicole Balsamo Photo. YouTube is just Nicole Balsamo, and then my website and all that is on my Instagram.
Amazing. And Nicole, do you have any fun projects coming up or new things happening?
I feel like I'm always trying to do something. I am launching a new project in April for my 30th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
I can't say it yet, but it's going to be super exciting.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.